Welcome.
You have goals, and it's time you reached them faster. You have dreams, and it's time you make them a reality. Massive life transformation starts now. It's Tampa Bay's performance power couple, certified coach and performance specialist Dana Medlin and certified coach and behavior analyst Michael Medlin. Get ready to transform your actions. It's time for the Action Hour.
Welcome to the Action Hour. I am your premature host, Dana Medlin, and I'm joined by my very favorite co-host and husband, Mr. Michael Medlin. How you doing over there?
I am doing wonderful, my love. How are you?
I am fantastic today because we're talking about life transitions. And I think this is a particularly interesting topic because no matter who you are or what you do or where you come from, life transitions are unavoidable. Mm-hmm. So when I say life transitions, what do I mean? I mean those events in our lives that occur and cause us to reevaluate our own state of being. It's those moments that happen and leave you kind of contemplating who you are and what you're doing and what you're going to do or want to do with your life.
Yeah, I mean, I may have had a few of those in my career. I mean, I started off as a corporate manager, moved into being an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. That really wasn't fulfilling my heart. And so, I moved into being a teacher, which led to being a behavior analyst, now a performance coach. And a radio show host, and soon to be a TV expert.
Yeah, the TV's coming, right? Not yet, it's coming. But here's the thing. Maybe you're someone who's identified yourself as a parent during the last 20 years, and now your kids have moved out on their own. So you have to transition from being a parent to being some other definition of yourself, right? Or maybe you've been a business owner for the last 30 years, but now you find yourself working for someone else for whatever reason. So now you have to transition into being an employee. Or maybe you're like Michael and I, you were married, then you transitioned into being a divorcee and living that single life. Yay. But only to transition yet again into being someone's spouse.
I mean, the hilarious part is neither one of us, we were really planning on getting married again.
No, I certainly was not.
Not at all. I mean, life transitions, they are inevitable. And, for some people, they can be traumatic. But this is something, we've coached our clients on, as they learn to navigate in the landscape of, reinventing themselves, redefining.
Exactly. So I'm working with a client right now who's been an attorney for the last 25 years. And she says, when she came to me, she said she woke up one day and just felt paralyzed by fear and regret. She was unhappy, she was unfulfilled, she was miserable and seemingly trapped. Now, here's a woman who, from all outward appearances, she has everything. She had made senior partner in her firm. She earns in the high six figures. She owns a nice home, nice car. This woman has money to burn, right? But she was miserable. I mean,
it's funny how a beach home and a Maserati doesn't necessarily mean happiness.
No, but I'd like to test that out, though.
Right?
But seriously, I don't know if this sounds familiar to anybody. It certainly did to me. The profession is different, but the story, the situation, the feelings of unhappiness and being unfulfilled, that was me. In my 20s, I had made this list of everything that I wanted to accomplish by the time I was 40. I wanted to have a professional career. I'd had 3. I wanted to make 6 figures and own a home and a nice car and have a husband and a baby, own a business, all this stuff. And I did it all by the age of 39.
Overachiever.
Yes, that's me, right? But unfortunately, I was left with this feeling of, well, now what? And the what was reinvention. It was transitioning from who and what I thought I was meant to be doing to what was going to make me happy, what was going to fuel my passion and allow me to live a life of purpose, one that spoke to my personal values. And I'm going to tell you, this process, it was not easy, and it took a lot of time, a lot of introspection, journaling.
What'd you say?
I said journaling.
That's my thing.
Yep. Asking a lot of really tough questions and being able to look at myself, truly look at the good, the bad, and the ugly, and that's scary. I think the worst part of a life transition for most people is that it can leave you feeling vulnerable and somewhat out of control.
I mean, successfully managing a life transition, it's absolutely possible, and it doesn't have to be traumatic. But again, oftentimes it is, and it can be seemingly as simple as moving from one house to another, upsizing, downsizing, relocating from one city or another?
So true. So I remember when I relocated from Fort Lauderdale to Orlando, it was at that time I knew it was for a bigger and better opportunity when I began my real estate career back in the early 2000s. But that was drastically different than when my parents relocated us from Fort Lauderdale to Tampa, Land O'Lakes specifically, in the early 1990s. Like, that ruined my whole life, my senior year of high school.
Dramatic.
Right? But in retrospect, the only difference was my mindset, right? So as performance coaches, we take a unique approach to mindset. We focus on behavior, the actions. So what actions can you take to successfully manage a life transition? That's what we're talking about here today. So whether you're dealing with a career change, a move, a new family dynamic, a new relationship, maybe even if you're mourning a death or going through menopause, we're going to give you some actions that you can take to maintain appropriate perspective and a healthy mindset.
But I'll warn you, these techniques, they require openness to change and very much an open mind.
Most definitely. So when we're coaching a client through a life transition, typically we first look to identify the context of the transition. And by context, I mean, is it anticipated, like a graduation or kids moving out? Is it unanticipated, like a sudden death or a divorce, Because then once we've identified the context, then we dive into the 4 factors that influence a person's ability to cope with a transition. And the first one being situation. What were the triggers, if any? And what's the timing? What aspects are within your control? Is this a permanent or temporary transition? And how is your behavior affected by this transition?
In the situation, many times it really defines the outcome. I mean, when we can truly identify the cause of the situation, the desired outcome becomes much more clear. I mean, we had a client who worked in an office. He wanted, a change, and he mentioned that he found himself bored at work. I mean, he wanted to work for himself so he didn't have to do everything the way his boss told him. And so he kind of set himself on that path. And it wasn't until we really got to talking about what he did when he wasn't working while at work. He mentioned to me that he constantly volunteered to do all the graphical work. He would update his boss's website. He made flyers, all kinds of, that type of work. And then we started a deep dive into what he loved about his job. And I never saw the same passion as when he was talking about doing all that, as he put it, side junk. And by the end of our sessions, we identified that being artistic was actually just as equally as important to him. So being his own boss was important, and that opening a new office, doing his job was only going to satisfy one half of what truly made him happy.
Right.
The situation can seem very simple and easy answer, but sometimes when you ask the wrong questions or not enough questions, you get the wrong outcome.
So very true. So the second factor that influences a person's ability to cope with a transition is self. What perspective is that individual coming from? And when I say perspective, I mean, what's their gender? What's their age or stage of life? Are they a baby boomer or are they a millennial or like us, a Gen Xer? And what's their socioeconomic status? All of these things play such a huge role in determining the best way to manage a life transition.
And people have this, huge misconception that their identity is a single thing. I mean, who you are is more than your name. It's a myriad of reputations in a wide array of different communities.
Right.
I mean, my mother knows me as one person. She's probably listening. And, and friends, a slightly different version. I mean, there's colleagues, bosses, pastors, clients, strangers. I mean, think about when one of these persons, these personas decides it wants to change.
Yeah.
Look at the cascading effect.
Exactly.
If you're a CEO of a bank, but your passion was to teach or bake or do something in the arts, this will end up affecting all those people that we mentioned. Are you ready to explain this change? I mean, how are you going to transition in all of them? It's a multifaceted question that takes a lot of explaining.
Yeah, indeed it does. So we have to take a break, but when we come back, we're going to get into some more how-tos and some more action steps. And then we're going to interview best-selling author Lisa Bourcher. Her book, Raising the Bottom, Making Mindful Choices in a Drinking Culture, was #1 on Amazon for quite some time. So we're really excited excited to finally hear her story.
Yeah.
And later, we're going to introduce our new nonprofit partner of the month, Oldsmar Cares. We'll hear all about the amazing things they're doing to make a positive impact in our community. And we've got an all-new behavior cell. So there's a lot going on today, and it's all coming up right after we show some love to our sponsors.
Turn heads this summer with the help of Medi Weight Loss. Lose up to 20 pounds the first month with a medically supervised weight loss program that's tailored to meet your specific needs. Their team of trained medical professionals will guide you, ensuring that you lose the weight and keep it off. Get started today. Call 877-MED-LOSS and book your free assessment. That's 877-MED-LOSS. Locations Tampa, Brandon, and Lutz. On average, patients on individualized restricted calorie program lose 6.4 pounds the first week and 14 pounds the first month. Medical supervision required.
Welcome back to the Action Hour. We are talking today about life transitions. And before the break, we were discussing the 4 factors that influence a person's ability to cope with a transition. And we talked about self being one of the most important, and also situation. Mm-hmm. So the next most important factor that we look at is support. You know, what type of support structure do you have in place? And this is something that we work really heavily with our clients, because we want to make sure that there's some type of support in place, you know, be it family, friends, community. And if it has to be a professional, a coach or a therapist, that's just as valuable.
Absolutely. I mean, we have so many different types of people who advise us and help us strategize. I mean, people go out and get accountants for tax strategies, financial advisors for investments, doctors, medical, religious leaders for our spiritual. But then when it comes to making a major change in the direction of our life, we tend not to go with a professional. It becomes like this do-it-yourself project that may or may not include friends and family. This is your life.
Exactly.
I mean, finding someone who's well qualified to help guide, design, and help build this path, it's critical.
I couldn't agree more. And the last most important aspect of weathering a change is strategy. A strategy is one that maybe modifies the situation, or one that controls the meaning of the problem itself, or that aids in managing the stress of the situation.
And I hear people use the term strategy often, but more often what I get is concepts.
Yes.
And they're not actually, useful steps. There's a famous coach, I'm not going to say who it is, but they use a 5-second rule, and it's really popular right now. And when you feel the impulse or idea to act upon something, but you kind of begin to hem and haw about it, and you ruminate, overanalyze, analysis paralysis, all that good stuff, you're supposed to count backwards from 5 and then push yourself to go.
Yeah, it's a very popular psychological technique. It's used to limit what you're thinking about and help you just get into action.
Absolutely, yeah. It helps you keep from thinking about the problem, and it does get you thinking about numbers instead of the problem. But what happens when inaction still persists? When you don't want to get out of bed and you feel depressed, there's no amount of counting that's going to get you there.
Exactly.
I mean, I've been there. I would have counted to 1,000,000 and still have not stepped foot on the ground.
Right.
I mean, so my question is, was that a strategy or was that a concept? I mean, moving your alarm clock across the room so that you have to react to it, now that's a strategy.
Yeah, because you actually have to perform the action in order to change the situation.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise it's going to ring all day long. Great coaches develop more than a concept. They develop action plans with contingencies. That's the key word there. What are the contingencies if the initial step doesn't spur you to action?
Exactly. Now, here's the thing. You can absolutely work through all of this on your own. Or you can hire a coach to help you make sense of it all and to help you keep the appropriate perspective. But if you do choose to go it alone, just recognize that it's going to take a little longer, but it's absolutely possible. I mean, hell, I did it all by myself, right? Yeah. So here are some coping techniques that you can use to manage on your own if you decide to. And the first of which I think is probably one of the most important, and that is acceptance. You have to accept that change is a normal part of life. People who are able to accept change, they seem to have the easiest time getting through life transitions. If you end up seeing, or if you find yourself always viewing change as a negative or as an experience that has to be avoided, it's going to make it a lot more difficult to navigate, and it's going to be less personally productive, because the reality is you can't escape change. We all know it's inevitable.
And once you've hit acceptance, from there you can identify your values and your life goals. Write them down. if a person knows who they are and what they want from life, they may, see the change as just another life challenge. These people are willing to take responsibility for their actions and not blame others, that changes come along without warning.
Mm-hmm. So what can help with that is to learn to identify and express your feelings.
So
and it sounds simple, but I mean, it's perfectly normal to try and push away feelings of fear and anxiety, but you're going to move through a life transition much more quickly if you just acknowledge and express your feelings. Make them real by writing them down. And I know journaling is our recurring theme on the show.
We say it way too much.
We do, but it works. It's effective. And, and if not journaling, then at least talk about them with your trusted friends and family members. Again, that's why having those support structures in place are so important. These feelings of fear and anxiety, they're going to have far less power over you if you face them and express them.
And then, really focus on the payoff. I've always said I can do anything as long as I can see a finish line. Think about what you've learned from other life transitions and recall the stages you went through. Identify what you gained and learned from each experience. Such transitions can provide a productive time to do that important self, exploration, that reflection. They can be a chance to overcome fears and to learn to deal with uncertainty. These can be the gifts of transition process. Don't rob yourself of the process and the journey.
Most definitely. Slow down. Don't be in a rush. When your life is disrupted, it takes time to adjust to the new reality. So expect to feel uncomfortable during a transition.
Be in that now.
Be in the now. And I love that one. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're going to introduce our guest, but I got to say, Eckhart Tolle, he wrote a book called The Power of Now. And in that book, he talks about the importance of being present. When you're making a huge life change, it's easy to get caught up in the stress of what the future is going to hold. But rather than spending the energy ruminating about the past or projecting your fears about the future, try to focus on where you are now. Because if you can accept where you are and take things step by step as they come, the overwhelm is going to dissolve. In fact, you might even get excited about the challenge.
So true. Maintaining a sense of humor and taking things one step at a time.
One step at a time. So recognize that sometimes it might take a village, and that's what people like Michael and I are here for. Mm-hmm. We can be your village. And speaking of village, again, this is a perfect segue for us to introduce our guest today. She is the best-selling author of Raising the Bottom, Making Mindful Choices in a Drinking Culture. She is also a registered nurse and works with women who struggle with their own addiction issues. So please welcome Miss Lisa Bourcher. Hello, Lisa.
There.
Hey,
Hi,
how are you?
How are you? I'm doing well, thank you.
Thank you so much for being here today, Lisa.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I'm glad this time it seemed like everything went super smooth.
Yay!
Yes, it did.
Great. Yes.
Tell us, Lisa, how did you come to write such an impactful book, and where did the ideas, stem from?
Well, it was I think a lifelong, we have our lifelong experiences,
mm-hmm.
and then you realize I was writing fiction, Michael, and I grew up in an alcoholic home with an alcoholic mother. Then I found recovery pretty early in my late 20s before anything really bad had happened at all. Very high bottom, I call it. Few consequences. And so then I went to nursing school, had twins, you're living life. But I started writing after I graduated from nursing school. And I'd written 3 or 4 fiction, novels.
Right.
But all along my mother was saying, Lisa, why don't you write about alcoholism?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of legs to that stool.
Mm-hmm.
You can go down so many directions. And so I think it just took a while to really, what was my message? And then my mother passed in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't long after that it literally hit me like a ton of bricks one day. And I went, that's it. And Raising the Bottom, and I had the idea, and I was like, okay, God, I need a title. And boom, a few days later, and I went, that's it. That is my message, is that we do not have to hit these low bottoms. And there's so much conversation out there with the opioids and
mm-hmm.
all these devastating stories.
For
and
sure.
So what I'm saying is most of these addictions start with alcohol. But there's very little talk about that.
Yeah.
There's very little conversation about that alcohol is a class 1 carcinogen. Is a class 1 carcinogen in the same category as asbestos.
Oh my goodness!
And so yeah, it really is. It's a class 1. It's proven, and they know alcohol causes cancer. But yet, look at how big alcohol companies market, and especially they're targeting, Janie, young women.
Wow!
And more young women. Look at how many women end up with breast cancer. And I believe much of it is attributed to alcohol. And I know when I started to do a little more research, but I started noticing it because I'm a registered nurse also. So I think 10 years into my nursing career, I started to really pay attention. I think this book was germinating and bubbling up in me even that long ago.
Absolutely. The journey started long ago. Lisa, let me ask you this. You've been very public about your own issues with alcohol, but what was the aha moment that caused you to change?
Well, I think because with my mother, by the time I started to have those little conversations in my head, like, okay, am I drinking too much? My mother was 7 years sober.
Okay.
So she is transforming from a complete wreck of a person to this amazing woman, and she's helping all these people and riding horses and traveling the world and getting her life back, basically. So I'm looking at that, and then I'm having conversations. Our soul knows when we're going off course. And my aha moment was pulling on the handle of my favorite lunchtime bar, and I thought it was locked. And so I'm like a crazy person, and I'm like pulling and shaking the handle because the door's not opening. And I'm like, this can't be because all my friends are in there, and it's lunchtime, and this is what we do. I walked like a block. I was working in advertising and marketing, and so that's where I went and have lunch every day and have a few beers or drinks or whatever. So I'm pulling on this door. I look at my watch because I'm wondering what's going on, and it's 10:30 in the morning.
Oh, my goodness.
That hit me. It hit me like a ton of bricks.
That will slap you right upside the head.
Oh, my goodness.
It really did. That was it. I knew then. I didn't quit. Believe me, I didn't quit for another 2 years.
Well, that had to have been a process as well.
Well, it is. And, but I was very uncomfortable with my behavior.
Yeah.
And I, saw it. How we don't see things until we see it. I saw it. I just wasn't ready to do anything about it.
Right.
That's a really good point.
So, Lisa, how can listeners find you? Where can they purchase your book and hear more about your story?
BarnesandNoble.com. Any online place that sells book. It's in select bookstores, so you can go into any bookstore if you like to go into Independence, and if it's not there, they can order it. And like I said, anywhere online, Target, Walmart, Barnes & Noble's, Amazon.
Excellent.
And my website is raisingthebottom.com. I'm on Facebook. And
raisingthebottom.com. Author, best-selling author Lisa Bourcher, thank you so much for being with us here today and for sharing a part of your story. Pick up Lisa's book at Amazon, Barnes & Noble. Visit her website at raisingthebottom.com. When we come back from the break, we've got our nonprofit partner of the month, Oldsmar Cares. We're thrilled to highlight this amazing organization, so stay tuned and we'll be right back. Looking to tone, tighten, or enhance your body while still retaining a natural appearance? Then look no further than Dr. Pedro Solar. Dr. Solar uses a customized approach to cosmetic and reconstructive procedures to the face, body, and breast. Call or go online now to receive $500 off any cosmetic surgery. 813-878-9889. That's 813-878-9889. Reclaim your confidence and discover a new you. Welcome back to the Action Hour, and this is a segment we like to call Actions Speak.
What is Action Speak?
I'm so glad you asked.
Hey.
Action Speak is a segment that we've dedicated to highlight nonprofit organizations in our community. Here's the thing. I love that we talk about the individual endeavors of the people we interview on our show, but that's just one journey. by highlighting an entire organization, it's our opportunity as a community to participate in a journey that can positively impact the lives of who even knows how many. So this is something that we can all share.
I mean, the goal of Action Speak is for all of us to do something. I mean, to take some action to contribute, to the great works of organizations that we feature.
Absolutely. And last month we featured the Angel Foundation of Brandon.
Love them.
They are truly phenomenal. This month we've selected Oldsmar Cares, and by the end of this interview, you're going to know why. So joining us today, representing Oldsmar Cares is their vice chairperson and my good friend, Michelle Baldwin. Welcome to the Action Hour, Michelle.
Thank you so much, Dana and Michael. It's a privilege and an honor to be on this fantastic show representing my favorite charity, Oldsmar Cares.
Wonderful. I love it. So let's start with the basics. Tell us, what is Oldsmar Cares?
Well, Oldsmar Cares is an organization founded many years ago, started out in a local church by Sharon Patch, our founder, and moved into what the community really needed was a food pantry, clothing closet. And we are a all-volunteer nonprofit 501c3 charity. We rely on the donations and sponsorships of the community. And that's why I really got involved in the charity, is because of that.
Yeah.
But we offer a lot more than just those food pantry and clothing closet.
That's why I wanted to feature this particular organization, because, most organizations, they have their singular focus.
Limited scope and reach.
Limited scope, yes. But Oldsmar Cares does so much more. So, yes, please expound on all of the many facets of Oldsmar Cares.
Absolutely. It's a long but distinguished list. Yeah. We actually offer stopgap rent and utility assistance to anyone in the Oldsmar area. And by that, we mean if someone cannot pay their rent or they can't make their utility payment, we'll issue a grant and pay that for them. We also have what we call our patchwork grants. So if someone is in need, whether it's a sick child or a debilitating disease or a loss of jobs, we can issue grants. And we are probably the most efficient charity that I know of, because we can approve these grants very quickly. We vote by email. And so someone that's in need, they get those needs pretty quickly. We also have a weekend food for kids program. We have a summer food for kids program. We really want to focus on those children. We just recently had a clothing drive for young children because we saw our pantry our clothing closet was running low, and the community really stepped up and dropped off literally tons of clothes for these children.
So awesome.
That's amazing.
Absolutely. So we have a lot of programs that we're very proud of. We do our holiday giving program where we feed families at Easter, Christmas, Thanksgiving, those holidays where a lot of families don't have the means in which to feed their own family for the holiday, where they just stop by, we give them the entire fixins and turkey and the whole 9 yards, and they're on their merry way.
So I love that, because, I can imagine that if it's the holidays especially, and you can't provide for your family, not only are you dealing or weathering with whatever got you into that circumstance, but then having to seek help, to get through it. It's not easy. And then here's an organization like Oldsmar Cares, who is literally just saying, show up and we've got your back.
Absolutely. There are so many people that are in need and don't know where to go, which is the biggest reason I'm here today, is making sure that people are aware of organizations such as ours that are there for the community and where we are, what we can do, and we are an organization that will partner with other charities. In the event that we can't facilitate a need, we partner with other charities that might be able to further help these people. So we're happy to do that.
I love that so much, because there's such a dignity in the way that you do things. There's so many organizations that make you kind of feel bad for needing some help. And
Absolutely.
being able to help people with dignity and not look down and just, realize it's just a little leg up that you're helping someone with.
And here's the thing. So you mentioned that you do the stopgap where you pay for utilities and things like that if someone is in need, and that's for residents of Oldsmar. So are all of the services that Oldsmar Cares provides, is it just for the residents of Oldsmar? And because it's great that you partner with other charities if that's the case.
Well, we actually do reach beyond Oldsmar. So we consider it the greater Oldsmar area. And for those that know Oldsmar, it's not very big. So, so that greater area, We actually do the 5 surrounding zip codes, but we will help out anyone in need. So when people come in and they have a need for food or they have a need for clothing, we don't qualify our clients. When they come in, we help them shop. We get them the groceries that they need. We get them the clothes that they need. And they're able to leave knowing that we were able to help and we didn't qualify them.
That's amazing. I love it. So, Michelle, we're all about doing. Mm-hmm. So how can we, meaning Michael and I, and how can we as a community get involved? How can we help? What can we do?
There are a number of ways to get involved. We take donations, clothing, food, toiletries. We have a whole new section that we call period products, and they are indeed what they sound like.
Those are very necessary.
Absolutely. So that's a big gap. And a lot of these food pantries and clothing closets and a lot of these organizations, they forget that women have these needs and they need these products. And this was founded by one of our board members' daughters, believe it or not. So I won't share the story, and I'll protect the innocent, but it's a great story. So, but you can drop off donations. We are open 5 days a week. Our hours are on our website, www.oldsmarcares.org. If there's other ways you want to help, we have a number of events throughout the year where we do collections. A lot of businesses do food drives for us.
Yeah.
They call us and say, hey, how can we help? And that's one way if they want to do a food drive or a clothing drive. The other ways is we do have a lot of gift givers, those that sponsor our events, those that give to us on a monthly basis. And we even have a great story as one of our donors comes in on a regular basis and she checks out the pantry. She sees what we're missing. Next thing you know, within an hour or two, she's back with what we need.
Oh, my goodness. Do you know what's so great about that story? She comes in and sees what you need and not just maybe things that are laying around her house left over.
Absolutely.
I love that. That is true participation.
Yes.
So what are some events coming up that we should know about?
Well, our big annual gala, and I'm gonna really plug this one.
Yes, do it, because we'll be there.
Yes, you will be. It is our 10th annual, and we are so excited about it. I've been a co-chairperson of this gala for several years, and I'm stepping down as the co-chair, and we've got someone that's really stepped up for us. Pam has done an excellent job, and Mike, one of our other board members, co-chairs that with her. But right now, we're really starting to promote it because it's our 10th annual. It's big. We've got diamonds, some bling. We've got a Roaring 20s theme.
Nice.
So we're partnering with a lot of local businesses, and this is our biggest event of the year. And we, luckily, over the past several years, have been able to not only increase but double and triple what we were getting in the early years of our gala. So most of this is sponsors coming. It's a all the wine we can pour event. So
you speak my language so well.
So I highly recommend either Uber or a designated driver for this event.
Safe, yes.
I love it.
We have several local restaurants that participate, so they come providing food for our typically close to 400, if not over 400. Last year, we sold out and we had a waiting list.
Oh, my goodness. When is this event? So we can put it on our calendar right now.
We'll be putting it on our Facebook and on our
absolutely.
website also to help plug.
So I'll make it easy for you. It's 2/20/20.
2/20/20. I love it. February 20th, 2020. I love it.
Absolutely. So with the 20s theme, I think you get the picture.
Yes.
That's fantastic. So, Michelle, you mentioned oldsmarcares.org. Where else can listeners find out more information about Oldsmar Cares?
Well, they can always stop by the food pantry and clothing closet, which is located on State Road 580 in Oldsmar. We just built a new building a couple years ago, and we were ecstatic that the community really came together offering donations, and we were able to fund that building very easily with the community support. So they can stop by, learn more about us. We will give tours. We have oftentimes prospective sponsors that would like to see the facility and what we do.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so we would love to give them a tour, let them know a little more about what we do, and kind of see our volunteers in action, because these are special people.
Oh, you have to be. And that's the beauty of this, is that it speaks so highly to the type of heart you have and the type of person that you are when you just give so generously, not just of your money, but of your time. time, of your energy, of your resources. Those are the charities and the organizations that we love featuring.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, Michelle, for being here, for representing Oldsmar Cares, and for just being such a beacon of light in the community. It really does make a difference, and I know you feel good.
I appreciate you. I tell people charity is good for the heart and it's good for business, but I also say, you know what? We're a better place for it.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. If you have a favorite nonprofit or one that you work with or one that you just think needs to be featured, please message us on Facebook at The Action Hour, or you can email us at info@actionstransform.com. We are always looking for opportunities to bring awareness to great causes like Oldsmar Cares. And we'll be following up with Oldsmar Cares all month long as we feature them on our Facebook, on all of our socials, and of course during the show. So we're going to take a final break, but when we come back, we've got a brand new Behave Yourself, so don't go anywhere. I think we can all admit that adulting can be hard, but don't let stress and personal difficulties keep you from living your best life. At Actions Transform, our behavior coaches can teach you to break unhealthy habits and give you the tools you need to achieve your personal and professional goals. You have everything to gain. Call Actions Transform today at 813-444-2282 or visit us at actionstransform.com. Remember, dreams inspire, but actions transform. Welcome back to the Action Hour. It is time for our very favorite segment, Behave Yourself, where we give listeners the opportunity to message us or send us emails, and we provide coaching advice right here on the air. So this week's letter reads like this. Dear Dana and Michael, I have been working in the consumer packaged goods industry with grocery stores around the country for a number of years. I am now at a crossroads in my career. I am a 42-year-old single mom. I am outgoing and enjoy people. Lately, I have been feeling the pressure and stress from work due to my role not being the best fit for me anymore. It's become more administrative and more micromanaging, which doesn't suit me at all. I want to see what I can do to increase my skills and move into a bigger role in the industry or maybe into another field altogether. Any advice? Sincerely, Working Mom. Well, Working Mom, we chose your letter today because it ties directly into what we've been discussing today, which is life transitions. And it sounds like you're about to have one, so buckle up and get ready.
All right. So, I mean, you're facing a major decision, and I can see already that you've done some reflection and you've identified aspects that are important to you, which is great. I too, I'm a people person, and having a position that doesn't involve enough contact with others at, somewhat of a meaningful level, it's very, very dissatisfying to me. So I completely get you. You also mentioned micromanaging and administrative. So when I hear those words, that I would like to begin our session by, really defining what does that mean? Mm-hmm. What to you is micromanaging?
Annoying.
True. And what about your job that you dislike that you would say is administrative? Is it just the paperwork aspect, or, you have to really define those words. In doing so, it's a critical step in formulating your desired position. Mm-hmm. So what we would do if you were in session with me would be to, do a simple pro-con list, about your current situation. Really take time to list, what you like, what you don't like. Think about actions that you have to do. You don't like them? Actions that your boss and coworkers do that you do and don't like. Think about culture. I mean, what kind of culture do you want to work in?
That's important.
Is there a type of environment that you would like to work in? Mm-hmm. What is it about that environment that is different than you currently have? I mean, I know this sounds like a lot, but it's really an important starting point. Now, the next step sounds, a little silly because it seems like an easy answer, but ask yourself, what do you want to accomplish through this change? Many people say they want to be happy.
Everybody wants to be happy.
But what is your happiness? Mm-hmm. Define it. Go deep. If there's a work-life balance issue, are you doing this because you're bored from doing the same thing, or is it a passion project? Mm-hmm. How will this affect others in your life? I mean, for you, it sounds more like you grew into a new role from experience, which is awesome. But it took you away from what you loved about your role. I mean, I've had times in my career where I went for that higher position because everyone says that's what you need to do, work to go higher. But then I found that the new higher job wasn't the same. And then I wasn't happy. And it left me, locked with those infamous, golden handcuffs.
Oh, I've been there.
Yeah, you're making too much to leave, and now you don't really care for your job. So once you've identified what it is that you like and you dislike in your current role, and you've got a really well-defined definition of what you're wanting to accomplish and what will make you happy, Then let's look into what are your barriers to change.
Yeah.
And this one's really overlooked. How much do you need to make? Are there any logistic issues? I mean, if you've got to be at work at 7:00 and you have to drop off your kids, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, kids are a big logistical issue.
Big. And what and how many hours can you commit to your new position?
Mm-hmm.
Again, look at all the things that cannot change in your life, whether or not it's because it's physically impossible, or more importantly, if it violates a core principle. I mean, for me, missing time with my family on certain days or events, it's completely non-negotiable.
Yeah.
So you need to set those boundaries, and it's a healthy balance, work-life balance, but we tend to make changes when our core values are being altered.
Exactly.
Now, once these barriers have been identified, now we can explore. We can get, our kid on. That's the part that I love. I mean,
get our kid on. I love it.
We let your mind be free. I love to reflect back at, that point when what I wanted to do as a child and then compare it to what am I doing as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so many people say things like, follow your passions, but that isn't always a good idea. I mean, it's actually some of the worst advice I've heard about following your passions. I personally, I wanted nothing more to be than a basketball player and go to Indiana University. Bobby Knight was huge up there. Well, I'm 6'2". I have no real vertical at all. And, I have this minor lack of talent, so following my passion wasn't a reality. It was my passion, but we have to also mix in practicality. It took me a long time to get to the point that where I knew about me was that I was happiest when I was helping others and interacting with them at a deeply personal level.
Yeah.
It led to teaching. Then it led to, working with children who had learning disabilities, then to therapy and coaching. The last step I take is, to do a full inventory of your skills. And once you've identified those, we can look at all kinds of possibilities. Where do your likes and dislikes, barriers to change, work-life needs, passions, strengths, where does all that align? Mm-hmm. And ultimately, what skills would you need to develop in order to make the move to the desired career? Once we have all that, and I know it sounds like a lot, but then you are prepared to make a good decision. This is your life, so the investment in the plan is well worth the time invested. If you want to start the process, give us a call. I would be more than happy to work with you. It can seem overwhelming going at all this alone, and many times friends and families aren't objective enough. So working with someone who doesn't know your history and can kind of give you that fresh perspective is probably what you need.
Absolutely. I mean, I think all of us can attest to having a great coach or mentor or, someone that's helped guide us and
Absolutely.
has led the way. So just know, working mom, that we are here for you, and we sincerely hope that you found this helpful. And please get back in touch with us and keep us posted on your progress, because we would love to hear how this pans out. Michael, I got to tell you, I love being a coach because I learn so much through everyone else's process. And this show for me it's therapeutic. And I always hate it when it comes to an end, but here we go.
It goes by quick.
It goes by so quick. So for more information on performance and behavior coaching, visit us online at actionstransform.com. Or for a complimentary consultation, or if you need help with a life transition, you can reach us at info@actionstransform.com or call 813-444-2282. Be sure to like us on Facebook at The Action Hour and at Actions Transform. You can catch up on all of our shows by subscribing to our YouTube channel, Actions Transform. Special thanks to our sponsors, Medi Weight Loss. Visit MediWeightLoss.com to learn more about their medically supervised weight loss program. And Dr. Pedro Solar, board-certified cosmetic and reconstructive surgeon. This month, Dr. Solar is offering $500 off any cosmetic surgery. You can take advantage of that through the month of August. Visit our nonprofit partner of the month, oldsmarcares.org, to learn what you can do to make a difference today and every day. Join us next week when we're going to be talking about labels and the prison they end up putting us in. I can't wait for that conversation. And if you'd like to submit coaching questions for us to read on the air during Behave Yourself, send us a message on Facebook at The Action Hour or email us at info@actionstransform.com. That's going to do it. Thank you all for joining us today. I'm Dana Medlin.
And I'm Michael Medlin, reminding you that dreams inspire, but actions transform.